How's it going, everybody? It's me. I'm back with another genuine series review. I want to do this one. This is completely unscripted. I have to be at work in like 45 minutes. So this is going to be a quick one. Not out of disrespect for the series I'm reviewing, but just because I've been wanting to do a video for so long since I started working again. But I just haven't had the energy because I've been very burnt out, and now I'm finally like, all right, let's get one in. Let's get a video in. So here we go. The series I'm reviewing today is Deus Ex. I have played all 5 main games. I know there's like stupid mobile, one of the 5 is a stupid mobile port, but I've played the main series. And what I'm going to do is first I want to quickly review just should you play the series overall, and then I'll talk about the pros and cons of each game, and then give you my personal tier list. I hope I remember to do all this. I just sort of said all that without thinking about it. Okay, so the first thing is, should you play the Deus Ex series? Yes, you should. If you like games like Dishonored, System Shock 2, I'm trying to think of other interactive sims, Bioshock. So Deus Ex is an interactive sim, and how those work out is the map design is very open not in the terms of like open world, but open in the sense that there are so many different ways to tackle the objective, like lethal, non-lethal, getting in through this door, that door, going in through the vent. There's all sorts of ways to get in, and how you set up your character depends on how you get through those places. So as you go through the game, you level up your character, you unlock certain abilities, and certain abilities will allow you to get in certain places that others won't. Easiest example I can think of is there is a strength, so the universe takes place in like where people are mechanically augmented, so think of like cyborgs, sort of that kind of augments. So one of the augments is like a strength augment, which allows you to pick up heavier objects than a normal person would be able to. So if you do not invest skill points into that strength augment, your character won't be able to pick up heavy objects. And sometimes within the level design, entrances or like vents or stuff will be hid behind objects that are too heavy for somebody without the strength augment to move. So that entrance is completely blocked off to only people who have the strength augment. There's the same for like the ability to hack a certain level of security or be able to jump a certain height. Lots of stuff like that. So it's tons of fun to do that, and all of the games really nail that. So from a interactive sim perspective, every single game nails it. And then from writing as well, I think these are such well written stories, especially since they're all about, choices, be that gameplay choices, how you approach things, and then narrative choices as well. What really shines about the series, I think, is especially the endings to the games. Leading up through the stories of each games, you learn all sorts of just insane stuff. I don't want to say anything too particular about what the games are about, but you learn all sorts of insane like conspiracy theories. So you learn all sorts of this stuff, and then when you get to the end of the game, you're faced with these like very morally gray, none of these choices are better than the other type decisions. And I think every single time you're faced with one of those at the end of the game, it nails it. I always have to like sit there, and for like 10-15 minutes I end up looking stuff up, trying to see other people's arguments. They're very difficult decisions, but in a good way, and I think it really nails it. I always have a problem with games that do like the choices matter. I hate it whenever games do that stuff, because it's like, oh, there's obviously the best choice to take. So I'm obviously gonna, look up how to get the best route. That's a problem of mine. I always have to look up how to get the best route because I want the good ending. And thankfully for the Deus Ex games, there is no good ending. Technically there is a canon ending, how another game leads off from it. You can even kind of ignore that, as long as they tell you what happened at sort of what leads to the next game. Anyway, yeah, they just do that so well. And then the soundtracks are great, the writing overall between all the characters, how everything's just an extremely complex web, everything connects to everything. It's really good. If you like that sort of conspiracy theorist type weird stuff, these would definitely be for you. If you like stealth games, these are definitely for you. And I do highly recommend the series. I played the entire series in a stealth, non-lethal playthrough, and I think once I do, if this is a good selling point for you, I entirely intend upon replaying at least the big three of the series, which are the first one, Human Revolution, and Mankind Divided. I at least entirely intend on replaying all three of those, and I'm going to do a completely different build on those playthroughs. So right now they're not at my tops, but once I explore their other mechanics further and other builds and stuff, I could see it, starting to enter the tops, because I really do respect the series, both from a gameplay and design perspective, but also from a writing perspective. Yeah, they've actually so like I said, a lot of it's sort of conspiracy theory-ish, and I don't want to sound too conspiracy theory-ish, but maybe it's just my understanding of things further into how the world works. But I'm totally yeah, there's now in the real world, after playing those games, I'm yeah, there's totally something fishy going on in the world. Not maybe it's not the Illuminati or whatever, but yeah, the corporations are definitely up to something. That the game is definitely, people say games aren't art. If you want to learn about the world, you should read books. But this is a good series that's an example of maybe you can actually pick some stuff up from video games. These games are so good at revealing so many moral grays, giving you so many choices, and demonstrating so many problems in the world, just in their fictional universe. They're just really good. Now I'm gonna review each game specifically of the top 5. I gotta pull up Steam real quick to look at the store page so I can remember. So the first one I'm gonna review is, obviously I'm gonna do this stuff in order, but Deus Ex, specifically the Game of the Year edition on Steam. If you're somebody who's, not really played many old games, this game might be really hard for you to get into. It definitely has old game quirks. It's from 2000, I think. Yeah, it's from 2000. It has a lot of old game quirks, but once you can get over that, it's such a good experience. The map design is fantastic. The story, I went into this series not knowing anything about the stories, and at first I was oh, I don't know about that, once I got into some of it. And then once I got a little further, I was oh yeah, I'm into this. This is I'm using such vague terms saying stuff like that. I'm just trying to be specifically considerate about not giving many spoilers. But gameplay wise, it's definitely the most difficult to get into. Once you do get into it, it's also fantastic. This is one of, if it's not the number one, it's the number 2 in the series for me. It's such a fantastic game. It's often regarded as you look up the best PC games of all time. It's in there for a reason. I definitely agree with that. Oftentimes I'll see games in that list and I'll think, I've played better games than that, but this one I think definitely should be in those lists. It was in I played it last year, and it was in my top 10 games of the year last year. Such a good game. especially like right now it's on sale for the summer sale. It's 97 cents. And how many hours did I get out of it? Let me see. And I played it for 25 hours. So if you have 97 cents to spare when it goes on sale, absolutely get it. You're not you are not losing anything. You can go outside for like 20 minutes and pick up enough money to buy that game. I think for 97 cents, it's worth it. It's worth the it's worth the 97 cents you get for 25 hours. That's like what, 4 cents an hour? That's a deal, and I think you're gonna enjoy it. The second one is one of the worst ones. Yeah, right now on Steam it's at 56% reviews. I honestly wouldn't say it's that bad. I honestly had a good time playing this game. It's definitely one of the weakest ones, by far one of the weakest ones. Like, the difference between this one and then the top 3 ones is pretty significant, but I don't think it's a bad game at all. If you're not the kind of person where it's like, yeah, I'm playing every game in the series, or you don't have a lot of time or something, I'd say this one is skippable. I enjoyed it, but of the series, this one is skippable. It doesn't really relate to a bunch of other stuff. I mean, it relates to the first game, it happens after the first game, but story-wise, it's not as good. Writing-wise, gameplay-wise, everything is a pretty good step down from the first one. I give it like a 6.5, personally. So I definitely enjoyed it, but it's considered not great by many for pretty good reasons. It's also only 97 cents, so if you go outside for another 20 minutes, you might as well. So the third one is Deus Ex Human Revolution, specifically the director's cut, which I recommend getting. I mean, again, on Steam it's $3, and I got how much time out of it? Let's see, 26 hours. I definitely recommend the Human Revolution version, because Square Enix is greedy and they cut out like an entire section of the game that's pretty important, and then release it as DLC when they originally released it, which is terrible. So for the director's cut, they inserted it back in where it belonged, and it makes a lot of things make more sense. I can't imagine sitting in the boardroom going, yeah, let's just cut this entire part out. they don't need this, and then we can sell it later. That would have destroyed the pacing. If you've played it and you're watching this, I'm sure you're sitting there like, yeah, I can't imagine playing the game without that section in it. It's a very good section as well, very, very good. Completely changes up the pace of the game as well. Gives it a nice break. Anyway, if this is probably also the other top one in this series for me. If it's not the first one that's at the top, it's probably this one. I'm almost tempted to say the first one's above it, but my memory's terrible, and I'd have to replay both of them before I said it with certainty, even though I only played this one like 5 months ago and the first one like a year ago. But this one is really good. They nail the writing of this one very solidly. The world is extremely well built, how it's mechanically designed as well. Again, very open, so many different options to explore the levels. I just had a great time with this. The story, again, is so fantastic. What the first two do especially well, I mean, not first two, what this one and the first one do especially well is, like, the game is all about uncovering secrets in the world, and these two, they just keep digging and they keep getting deeper, and they get all the way to, it's a very good game. You know, the soundtrack is great, the voice acting is great. The boss battles, like some of the boss battles, I love how they introduced it in this one. It's such a fun mechanic. Some of the boss battles, if you have a certain upgrade equipped, which is very easy to get and I highly recommend it, I think it's the Casey. It's like talking boss battles where you have to, let's say, talk somebody down from something. You're able to like see different aspects of their vitals and like what kind of personality they are and what kind of personality things they're saying they are, certain stuff about their personality characteristics, like are they angry, easily tempered, but kind at heart, just cool stuff like that. And then so you almost have like a debate, philosophical or whatever debate with the person, trying to talk them down from doing something bad, and then depending on the outcome of the talk, changes the events that are going to follow that in a really interesting way. That's such a cool mechanic. When I first ran into it, I didn't know that was in the game, and then when I first ran into it, this is like, bro, this is hype. There are also other like normal boss battles, but I actually prefer these. They're very, very fun. And then gameplay wise, it's a lot easier to play than the first one. They do sort of like modernize it with like that Splinter Cell locking behind cover, moving behind cover, kind of. Not early Splinter Cells, but the newer ones where you like lock behind cover and then you can see where you want to move. You just press a button and he moves there for you. They have that kind of stuff, but it's done really well. Level design again is done very well. There's like open segments and then linear segments. Tons of side quests that have interesting stories involved with them. It's just such a deep and solid game. The next one is If Invisible War, I don't remember if I said the name at the beginning or not. That's the second one. If Invisible War isn't skippable for you, this one's definitely skippable. This one's $2 on Steam. It reviews at 35%. It's called Deus Ex the Fall. You can honestly, even if you're gonna play the series, it wouldn't hurt you to skip this. It only took me like 2 hours to beat it. And what it is it's a PC port of a mobile game that intended on having a bunch of it's a full story and they intended on having a bunch of chapters. But the only chapter that ever got made was the first one, and that's all that this is. So you just play it and then it just ends. That's it. It's just, alright, we're done here, boys. Nothing resolved. It's at its core, it's not that bad, honestly. I mean, it just plays like a mobile port of Human Revolution. It's like very stripped down, but it still, at its core, has a, sort of fun, solid stealth mechanics. And then narratively, at its core, I can see that there was something decent there. But none of it ever pays off. I mean, they have like some decent side quests, some interesting choices, but none of it ever pays off. It just sort of ends. So I wouldn't say it's overly negative as like the experience you have while playing it. I mean, it's still only like a 5, but then it just ends, and that's all you're ever gonna get. So if you're ever gonna, it's a completely different character than Human Revolution and Mankind Divided. I don't at least remember any connection between the others either. So if you're gonna skip one, skip this one. The last one in the series is Mankind Divided, and I just beat this one like 5 days ago or something, so this one's much more fresher in my mind. This is also, it takes the gameplay of Human Revolution and refines it a lot more. So from like a gameplay perspective, it's a very good game. Narrative perspective, it's also good. This one is definitely like, while the best one is debatable between 1 and Human Revolution, this one definitely takes the number 3 spot. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just think there's definitely a little something missing. I think specifically narratively, I think is where it stumbles a little bit. It is not narratively as solid. It's still a good narrative. Mankind Divided feels more like a setup for another game. Deus Ex 1, it just keeps digging. Human Revolution, it just keeps digging. And while this one digs pretty deep, I feel like it doesn't the depth and the payoff for it aren't as much for me personally. I don't think the villain is that good. While the ending is interesting, how they designed the ending, it's definitely still not as good as Human Revolution 1, and even Invisible War, in the sense of those always gave you like very difficult choices, while this one, didn't really give you a choice. It's just like a boss battle and then it ends. There are choices involved with that come from how you played the game earlier and what missions you chose and stuff. But overall, it's not as solid as an ending, and generally just not as solid as a story. It is a good story, but I definitely prefer the story of the other two much more. It does get into some interesting concepts and lots of philosophical ideas. Same for 1 in Human Revolution. But just overall, it's still like 7.5, if not an 8. But the other two are better. I still highly recommend the game, but I see why some people were slightly disappointed with it, especially like I played all the DLC missions as well. 2 of them, those should have been in the base game, and that would have made the game a little more enjoyable. Like 2 of those were just straight up just lifted up out of the game. Again, they didn't really have anything too wild specifically within them, but one of them was a lot longer and a very fun mission. And then the 3rd DLC side mission was an actual this was an actual DLC. It's called A Criminal Past. That was a very good DLC. Very difficult. At least I did it, not augmented. But that was a very good DLC. I could see myself when I replay Mankind Divided, replaying that as well, using different gameplay style. It's like completely separate from the base game. Completely new map, story, everything. I really enjoyed it. But overall, I guess I gave my tier list away during it. I'm not gonna actually tier it, I'm just gonna rank it. So first place, Deus Ex 1, and if it's not Deus Ex 1, it's Human Revolution. Second place, if it's not Human Revolution, it's Deus Ex 1. Third place, Mankind Divided. Fourth place, Invisible War. Fifth place, The Fall. So I do highly recommend the series. I know this was a bit rambly, but like I said, it was unscripted. I didn't even really plan on doing this, especially today, since now I work in 10 minutes pretty much. Thankfully I work from home, so I can just, turn this computer off and turn my other one on. But yeah, I definitely didn't plan on doing this review today, so if you stuck through it, my rambling, they didn't really, I could have done a better review of the series, I believe, but I just wanted to make something. I had been wanting to record a video, or I had even stopped. I haven't been doing any game development for like the past 2 months either, since I started working, just because I'm very tired and burnt out from it. But I've been, that like desire to make something has been building over that time period, to the point where here's like my burnt out line, maybe like over here, but my desire to make something has now crossed the burnt out line. Also helps that it was a long weekend, but yeah, so well, I completely acknowledge this was not the best video at all. It's just me sitting here talking, and I've never really done, I guess my last video was kind of like this, but it's not something I'm used to doing, and if you stuck through it, I really appreciate it. I do want to keep doing more videos, but like I said, my creative level has to get past my burnt out line. There's videos I could make, like I played Elden Ring, I beat Elden Ring, I could do a review of Elden Ring. I guess I can give a quick spoiler to that. Not a 10 out of 10. I think it's an amazing game, but it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. There's a couple problems that I had with it that don't take it to 10 out of 10 level, but it's still a great game. And then Xenoblade 3 comes out later this month. Will I do a video about that? Probably. That would be fun. I hope it's a great game. I hope it's like the other ones, some of the best games I've ever played. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. If you're looking for a series to get into, I highly recommend Deus Ex. And if you have played Deus Ex, nice. That's really cool. I'm glad that we likely have similar agreements. And I know that there's like that one YouTube video that's like 3 hours long. It's like, human revolution is fine. Whatever, man. I'm not watching that. I thought it was a good game. Sure, you could pick it apart into why it's a 6 out of 10, but I liked it. Whatever, man. Anyway, take care of yourself. Yep, I have to go to work and start working in 10 minutes. Watch this. I'm at work now. I'm using my work headset because the other one I usually use isn't that good. I mean, no, it is that good. It's just, for whatever reason, it was giving me problems, and I don't have enough time to mess with it. So I just picked this one up. I could have used the one I usually use is my old headset. It actually has a better microphone than my new headset. So yeah, this is like middle quality between my old headset and my new headset, so I decided to just use it. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I really don't want to go to work, but that's okay. Take care of yourself. Have a great day.